Good morning, everyone. It's Chrissy here from the Creative Eclectic. Hope you're having a fabulous Monday morning. I thought that I would just pop on and show you a little technique that I've been working on over the weekend. Just wait a couple of seconds and see if someone else joins us. I'm hoping that people will come on in a second. It's a bit cloudy here in Brisbane here today. It's a bit windy. I hope that it's lovely and fine where you are. Today I'm going to do a technique called a faux leather technique or fake leather technique. And this is really great for masculine cards. And I think that you will really like it. So what we need to get started is we need a piece of scrap. So I'm only going to do a little piece, but you can do the whole front of your card or however much you need. And you'll see here that I've got some masking tape and I've torn off little bits of masking tape and stuck it onto this piece of scrap cardstock, or you can use a whole front, however much that you like. Now I'm just going to tear off some more, and I hope that you can see this. Hope I'm in the centre. So just tearing off little bits, and it's a little bit tedious, but what we're going to do is just tear off these edges. And hi Helen, how are you? Nice that you're watching. I was just saying we're doing a little technique called a faux leather technique today. And so what you need is a piece of scrap and some masking tape. Good morning, Jan, how are you? Yeah, so nice that you could join us. So we're doing this faux leather technique, and we've got our masking tape, and we're just tearing off little bits and sticking them onto our cardstock. Now they can be as big or as small as you like. Now I'm not going to show you the finished card that I did before. Now what you want to make sure that you do when you're doing this technique is that you don't have any straight lines. So you know how on your masking tape you have straight edges? It works better when you have a wider roll of masking tape. And it only works when you use white masking tape. So don't be tempted to get that beautiful coloured frog tape. Just use a bit of masking tape. They're just a plain white. I just got mine from the Drake's stationery aisle. It actually is much better if you can use wider ones, because then you can have wider strips. So here we go. So the purpose is you cover up your piece of cardstock, and as I said, I'm just using a scrap here. And this is quite a quick technique once you've got your pieces in place. Don't worry about the edges, it going off the edges for now, because you can trim that up, or you can just fold it over the back. Okay, it's really up to you. I'm just going to fold mine over the back for now. Now, I find this really great for masculine cards, this faux leather technique. Okay, it is, I warn you, a little bit messy. So if you're not into mess, probably isn't the technique for you. So I have covered every little bit of my piece of cardstock. Now your cardstock can be as big or as small as you like. Now next up, you're going to grab, I'll put my masking tape out the way, and you're going to grab your ink pads And I find the sponge daubers work for this, or a sponge of some sort. And we're going to start with our lightest colour. So these, you want to make sure, before I go on, that there are no spaces, because you can't, once you start putting the ink on, you won't be able to go back and put more masking tape on. It will not stick. Don't ask me how I know. All right, so I'm using the cinnamon cider ink pad. I find any of the sort of browny colours in the neutrals and also in the in colours work really well. So I've got my little sponge dauber, and you'll notice this little colour around the sponge dauber, that actually comes off the bottom of your ink pad. I've just cut that round so I can know that that's my cinnamon cider colour. I'm just going to put ink all over it, but before I do, I'm going to grab my piece of scrap paper. You'll also need a paper towel for this technique. I'll grab my piece of scrap paper so that I don't get it over my laminated workspace, and we're going to work our colours in. Now, it works really well with the watercolour based inks, like the Stampin' Up! Classic inks. I don't think it works as well with other types of alcohol ink. I have tried it and it hasn't been as successful, or distress inks or anything like that. So, yeah, so we're going to put heaps and heaps of colour on. And so you can see it's coming up with sort of like a bit like a mosaic pattern. And it's like the, I think it's like sometimes you used to get the pressed leather. So this is what it ends up looking like. So be really generous with your colours. So you can just do it all one colour, or you see they've got a little bit that's lifting up, and try and stick that down. If it doesn't stick, we just pull that piece off. We can cut it off later and just ink where it's not sticking. Okay. So we're just being, and this is actually like, I like the tearing part of this. When you're in a really, really cranky mood, it's very rewarding to sit there and tear up little bits of paper. Trust me. Now, see, I've got ink over my fingers, but that's all right. So I've coloured it all in the cinnamon cider ink. I'm not going to close it up just yet. I've got a little bit of soft suede, because we know that leather isn't all a uniform colour. So I'm just going to dab a few bits in of the soft suede. Not too much, just a few bits, and I'm not being terribly careful. I'm just doing it randomly. I'm a bit of a random person. And I've got some early espresso as well. And for ages I couldn't say espresso. I used to say espresso. And my daughter had to train me, because she was a barista, in how to say it right. So I've got a few bits of this on. All right. Now we're going to grab our paper towel, and we're just going to rub a little bit. Now, you could use your heat tool and dry it off, but you don't want to see me heat tooling today, so I'm going to put a bit more cinnamon on just to keep that vibrant colour. And then I'm going to set it aside to dry. So you want it to be really, really dry before you try and put it on your project. So that's just a sample. This is actually the card that I made. So you can see I've done a lot of inking. It's got that knot, you can feel the texture of it. So that's how you do a faux leather technique. But you can take it another step further. If you wanted to do a, say for example, you wanted to make a turtle and you decided, oh well, I need to do that in green, like, because you know, the green leatherback turtles, I've got one that I've started and I've got some old olive ink. So I really hope that you like this. I'm just going to put this one over here so you can see the original one that I made. And I hope that you like it. And so I haven't gone all the way to the edges on this particular one because I know that I'm going to punch it out. You just want to make sure that you're right in. And see, this bit here isn't sticking. That's because I've got ink underneath. But you can just tear off bits or cut it off after you've finished doing what you want to do. So I'm just going to put a bit more colour underneath that. So, and make sure you've got lots of colour around the tear marks. You can use this for all sorts of things. And I really hope that you like it. I'm going to now add a little bit of the soft suede because we know that turtles aren't completely green. Like they've got some other colours in there, so just add that in. So it's sort of a bit mottly. Wipe off any excess. And again, you're going to get it over your fingers. If you don't want to get it over your fingers, wear some gloves. So now I've got my little turtle punch, I think. So I'm just going to cut out my little turtle. And you sort of turn it around and get the bits that you like the best. Whoops, he's lifting there, but that's okay. You know, I know that I'm going to cut off his legs and his head. Oh. And see, I missed a bit of his head there, but that doesn't matter because that's going to be cut off. And I missed a bit of his back, but he's all right. So we'll just put a bit more ink on his back there. I've got plenty of ink on my sponge. Hi Talia, nice to see you. I'm just demonstrating the faux leather technique. So I'm just going to grab my scissors, 1 second. This is the card that we made. And so basically it's all bits of masking tape torn off and you've just coloured it with the sponges. 1 second. I really like this technique because oh, thank you, Talia. I really like, it's good to be crafting again. Yeah, I really like this technique because it's really versatile. So you can use it on a masculine card. And when I'm going to trim off my little turtle body. And his little tail. All right. I have to work out the best way to trim off his head. So I'm just going to sort of just go down that way. Right. So we'll stamp him up and see what he looks like before he's coloured. So you could use any colour green for this. And it's not a long technique, it's nice and short. Obviously, the bigger the piece of cardstock you use, the longer it's going to take to put it together. But it's a really good way if you just have a strip and you want to add some interest to a masculine card. And you can experiment with colours, and because we all know that they colour leather, so you can experiment with all sorts of colours and you can see what works best for your project. Oh, sorry, this is a little Turtle Friends stamp set. I really like this. I don't know, I've been using so many really cute stamp sets. Oh, sorry. Lately, so I don't know why. It just seems to be that's the way it is this year. And okay, I've got my little turtle. I'm going to colour him with blends later on, but we've got our little shell and we can see how he fits on there. So I'll need to trim some bits off. So what I might do is just stamp the turtle shell on the back of it, and then I've got a better trimming space. Let's see how we go. Might not work exactly how I want it. It'll be okay. I can trim him a bit better. Okay, and I'm sure you can hear Steve's here getting us a coffee, because he's such a good husband working from home today. So yeah, we're just going to fussy cut around that turtle shell, make it fit the way we want it to. And there we go. When we stick it on, we'll have a little leatherback turtle. So it's a good way to use that technique. If you made it smaller pieces, it might look a bit better. It depends. So the size of the pieces changes the look. So I really hope that you like this technique. It's only a really short, sweet video today. And just realised my camera was crooked, so I'm sorry about that. So this is what you need again. So you need a piece of cardstock. I used a white scrap. You could use whatever colour scrap you want. Some masking tape. As I said earlier, the thicker the masking tape or wider the masking tape, the easier it is to tear and the less time it takes to cover your cardstock. You need some inks. So for this one here, I used the cinnamon cider, early espresso and soft suede. And you'll need some little sponge daubers or a sponge. I haven't used the blending brushes to do this. I don't think it works quite as well. So, and then for the green one, I used the old olive and the soft suede also. So it's a pretty easy technique. It's a lot of fun, and I really hope that you give it a try. You'll also need, you'll need a paper towel so you can wipe off the excess. And you'll need to wash your hands before you try and put it together, because if you look at this one, I hadn't washed my hands when I was sticking it together. If you have a heat tool, use your heat tool to dry it off. But only do it on a low setting, because otherwise it'll curl. So I really hope that you enjoyed this technique, and I shall see you later in the week. Bye for now.